I got some money, man. I'm gonna go open up a museum about me, for me, so you can love me. How do you like that? Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, whatever time it is for you right now. Just know that you are locked in onto the point with the king. You guys know what to do. Go find us. Apple, Amazon, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X. I have a bunch of those. YouTube, which is hopefully where you're watching us. And if you guys are, please go down there, click subscribe, click like, leave a comment, because once we get to 750, this will be coming to one of you. Okay? We will be giving it away just for you. Thank you for all your support so far over these years. Thank you for, well, I don't know, shitting on me. But and thank you most importantly for supporting our fantastic guest, especially my man right there, Jazz Graywall. I will not give his job description, but trust me, he is there. He knows what's in the know. Like, you can clearly see from his sweater. Jazz, how are you doing today, my friend? And it's a pleasure having you here.
I'm well, man. Honestly, nothing better to start the day than a hyped up Brian, to just get the juices flowing. So I'm feeling good, man. I'm excited to talk Raptors, obviously. So let's get into it.
Yeah, we're Raptor centric. So I'm gonna start this off by saying, like, currently we are right now, as of this recording, that the Raptors are about 20% into their regular season. We won't mention playoffs, ladies and gentlemen, but they're 20% into the season. So what we are going to do is we are going to cover what we have seen so far. Eye test, maybe not too many numbers for y'all out there, but we love your emotions because you guys are the engine that are keeping the Raptors going. So, Jazz, let me start this off. 15 games in. What's the Raps record?
Right now, 7-8.
Exactly. So they're pretty much on the 500 level, basically, game or two, give or take, right? But from what we've seen so far, what the product has been put on the floor. I said product, man. I sound like Masai. Masai, give me a job. But from what we've seen out there, what do you think of the Raptors overall, just based on what we've seen so far for this season?
Definitely. There's obviously been a lot of flashes of not brilliance, but you see the potential in this team and sort of the upside of what they can do. But we've seen a lot more downs, a lot more lows, and honestly, that comes with a new coach, integrating a new system, the point five offense, while still sort of balancing that that star sort of power that you have with Pascal and the budding superstar potential with Scotty Barnes. So I think there's just like a lot of pieces that are sort of trying to find their place in the puzzle right now. And in terms of the on-floor product, I think you're starting to see small changes from Darko, small changes from just the offense, from what it was, game number one, game number two, what have you. You're starting to see players start, break out of that. I don't want to say Darko's scheme, but we're playing through Pascal a lot more now. We're playing through Scotty, Jakob in the high post. There's just a lot more to unravel with this team. So it's really tough to get a full grasp of how this team is going to be in March or April, or what have you, or even the All-Star break, to be honest with you. So I'm going to give it maybe, you said we're at the 1/5 point of the season, I think 20 games, so 67 games left. Or 15 games, so 67 games left. And I think by 30 games, you'll have a much better idea of where this team stands, but you also have an idea of like what works and what doesn't, whether that's, playing Scotty more in the small ball lineup. It's funny you call him a small ball, but like a small ball center. Pascal at the 4. You're starting to see these new things that you didn't see initially with Darko, and that's nice considering the fact that you haven't really got your top tier production from guys like Gary Trent. I know he's shooting 38% from three, but he has not looked himself. I think he's at like 55% from the free throw line. Precious Achua is just as much as I, you know,
Love
hope that
that
there's
guy.
as much as I hope there's a future for him in this league, it's really tough to sort of stay in that camp when you see him make mistakes that he made in his first or second year, right? So there's a lot of pieces that still need to fix. And now you're seeing Malachi Flynn sort of rise in this system. And honestly, that has a lot to do with Dennis, a lot to do with Darko, and just sort of that confidence thing still with him.
We'll get into the players individually, but
Yeah.
keep going overall, like their overall performance, brother.
Yeah, so obviously half court offense is still a problem. Raptors are actually pretty good in the transition, but they just don't run enough as much as they should. And again, the half court issues were an issue last year as well under Nurse. So you know, I would say it's more of a personnel thing than maybe a coaching and X's and O's things, right? So and defensively, the Raptors have been solid this year. Obviously, they've had some lapses, you know, against Orlando. I'm forgetting the game earlier in the year, but they got rocked as well on the offensive end. But we've got stout defenders. You got OG Anunoby, Scotty, Pascal's. I think Pascal's like he's showing flashes of like all NBA stuff. It's just not consistent. And Schroeder's a fine point guard. He gets. I mean, defensively, he can get bodied down in the post by bigger guards, but in terms of just playing the angles and sort of knowing his position on the floor, I think he's been solid. So defensively, the Raptors are sort of where we expected them to be because this is a tall, gangly, 6'9" athletic team that can sort of cover different positions. So that's the sort of theoretical, I guess, that's what Masai wants this team to sort of turn into.
So, what do you think offensively? How they're cohesive?
Uh,
I don't want to hear
yeah,
specific players. I want to hear like how the team is working.
Offensively, like I said, it was brutal to watch in the first portion of the 15 games. But in the last few games, minus the Orlando game, that was, I don't want to say it was an anomaly, but the Raptors, they honestly went back to what the stuff that sort of killed them in the back. You know, got transition defense was putrid. Orlando's not a great offensive team. Great defensive team. I think they're the number one in the league. But other than that, like you saw sort of flashes in the Pacers game. Mind you, Pacers don't play defense. But in terms of the offense, in terms of the Raptors, I think they're starting to figure things out. And I think Darko's starting to figure things out as well. Play Yak less in certain situations. Play Pascal and Scotty as your front court guys. And then you got OG, Dennis. And that's usually your top four guys. And then you go from I personally want to see more Otto Porter, but I really think those front end guys are great. It's just the bench needs to obviously add more. That's Chris Boucher. That's Gary Trent. That's Precious Achua. I know you didn't want to mention the players individually, but the bench as a whole has not been where it needs to be.
May I jump in here?
Of course.
Okay. So you mentioned, I'm going to hit you with a few points right here. Okay. Based on what you said and what I think. Okay. You mentioned the run, right? The Raptors in transition. Okay. But you know what? Their defense has not been putting up the same numbers that it was last year under Nick Nurse. Now, based on Nick Nurse, now the new coaching staff, I think they're letting the players play the way they want to play, right? Utilizing their skills after that stagnant, like, let's face it, since the Raps won in 2019, right? They won the chip, right? The whole system has been stagnant and redundant, and it's been the exact same, right? Every team can figure that out. We'll figure it out. You don't even have to watch the game. You already know what's going to happen. Okay, now we're seeing like a little spark in the team. Like from some of the players, you see like now Malachi looks pretty comfortable. The acquisition of Schroeder, right? An experienced vet who has a chip, who has a ring from another team, right? You see them going through Pascal. Pascal's going to do what Pascal's going to do. Scotty he's elevated his game. And I said this last year, ladies and gentlemen, go look through the archives. I did say if Scotty can add a 3-point shot to his game, you can't really stop him. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he's starting to do that. We see OG being OG. We see Boucher being Boucher. We see Gary Trent looking like a pouty little kid on the corner. Right. And which is showing into his performance. He's giving the opportunity. We've seen Darko try to work it out because right now with as a former coach, I will tell you, when you implement a new system with players that already there, right, it's basically a learning curve at some point, right? I see Raptors fans online panicking, freaking out, saying, get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy, get rid of that guy. Your expectations are way too high. Calm down, okay? Bring it down. It's a whole
Can
new
I just
system. Go ahead.
Can I just mention something about that? I understand the frustration on behalf of the Raptors fans because the front office has not just picked a direction. We're sort of like the Golden State Warriors in that sense. You got not your aging forwards, but you got your guys who are ready to win now. And then the Raptors don't really have a development in terms of outside of Scotty Barnes and I guess Grady Dick. Who are their young prospects? Precious Achiuwa, Malachi Flynn. I mean, it's so for me, like I understand the frustration because you've lost Fred VanVleet to free agency for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
That could have been an asset, a draft pick, what have you. You lost him on an expiring deal. Now there's sort of trepidation that it's going to happen with Pascal Siakam as well, and I believe Gary Trent's still eligible for an extension as well. So like, there's a few things I can understand. The front office is totally transparent. And so the frustration, trading this guy and that guy, obviously that's just fandom. People are going to lash out, what have you. But I do understand the frustration because for me personally, coming into this season, it was already like, how are you supposed to implement Pascal? How is Darko supposed to implement Pascal if he doesn't, if there's no certainty in this future with the Raptors? It's just, there's a lot of uncertainties coming into training camp and you wish you could just stamp those out before training camp starts. So now it's like, okay, if the Raptors do hit their potential, how good is that? And is it worth pushing off a rebuild or a retool as opposed to, because Pascal can very well, obviously the Raptors can offer him the most money, so he's incentivized to return with the Raptors. But maybe that rubbed him the wrong way, calling him selfish or calling the team selfish.
I got to disagree with you on that one. I think Pascal is flourishing a lot better because as opposed to last year where everything was put on him when Fred was holding the ball for 14 out of 24 seconds of the shot clock and giving him the ball and expect him to do something and he doesn't come through, people were hitting him with all kinds of negative comments, right? Now he's got like, you got that Scotty, you got that Schroeder, right? Pascal can just catch, spin, rinse, and put it in, right? His game can be further solidified going forward. That's how I see it. But the one thing I did want to ask you too is I wanted to ask you about the two latest acquisitions on the Toronto Raptors, as in Dennis Schroeder, right? His performance so far, and Grady Dick. Yeah, everybody needs some dick. Come on, man.
Well, Schroeder's been awesome. He's actually assist wise, he's not putting up the assist numbers he was in the first 7 games. I would say he's been more of like a scoring threat. I'm not sure if his usage has gone up or down, and I'm not sure why exactly that is. I think a lot of it has to do with Pascal starting to come into form again. He's averaging 20 points again. And I think in his last 5 or 6 games, he's averaging like upwards of 24, 25. So we're getting the old Pascal. And I think Dennis is sort of just trying to find his spots, but I think he's been like easily top 3 players this season for the Raptors. He's been consistent. He's had a couple of duds, but more often than not, I think Dennis has been reliable. You got a point guard that's able to find his players in spots. And I mean, you get that guy at what the mid level compared to what you would have paid Fred, which would have been 40 mil.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I think that's a pretty good trade off, and Fred obviously did a lot for this team. And I actually wanted to mention your point. So you mentioned the last year that the Raptors was it you said that their defense was better
Statistically.
statistically. So I think a lot of that has to do with because Nurse leaned on his starter so much, and that's why they're dead tired by the time to play in and past the All-Star break. They were absolutely defeated. So I think Darko, what he's trying to do is just manage those minutes. I don't think Pascal's averaging that many minutes a game.
No, he's not.
33.7. That would have been 38 under Nick Nurse. So like he's doing all this production. He's putting up all these numbers in less minutes. So you're not taxing his body. So I think that's pretty cool. Darko's trying to incorporate the bench and trying to balance, get other guys involved. So your second guy, Grady Dick. I think he needs some reps in the G League because it's so clear to me that this isn't a skill thing or anything else. It's just strictly a confidence thing. Because we've seen Grady knock
Or
down
an
4 threes in
adaptation
a game.
to the league.
Yeah, exactly. Well, everything's faster, everyone's stronger. For me, the biggest concern with Grady Dick is on the defensive end. I'm not worried about his jump shot. I'm not worried about him knocking down threes. That'll come. Defensively, he just gets abused by bigger wings, even like same size wings, stronger guards. And they're always drawing fouls on him. I think that's something that he's really got to hone in on. And in the G League, I not necessarily like a defense development platform for a player, but it's a great way to boost your confidence. It's a great way to find your rhythm, your shot. And once all that starts connecting and coalescing, then the defense, you get more confidence on that end. Grady's not ever going to be a great defender, but I think he can be a serviceable defender once he figures out the angles.
Yeah, because you prior to the championship year, you did do press for the 905, right?
Yep.
And so you got to see these guys like the Pascal, the Fred. You got to see how they got to hone in on their skills, right? Before they come in, and next thing you know, they got one of these, right? So I completely agree with you on that one, brother. The other player I wanted to ask you about is Gary Trent. Do you think that the Raps should move him because he looks like he doesn't want to be here at all right now, right? And I think it's showing up in his performance. Do you think that the Raps should make a move on him, like make a pass on him, or keep him and keep him happy?
Definitely the latter. I mean, it's 15 games into the season. I'm definitely not like on that wagon of trading players. Also, Gary's like again another rhythm guy.
I'm not talking about his stats. I'm talking about his demeanor.
Oh, his demeanor? No, like from what I understand, like he's bought into Darko and Darko's system. I just think he hasn't found his sort of place in the system. Like I mentioned, so he's actually shooting 38% from three. So he's knocking down threes, not on high volume, but he's knocking down threes. Defensively, he's always going to be a weak link. He's not deflecting shots like he used to. He's not a great transition finisher in the open court.
He's been doing very well in the paint, though.
In the paint, so yeah. So except at the free throw line where he's shooting 55%, which is technically outside the paint. So never mind. I'm not worried about Gary either, man, because the Raptors really, really need him. If they want to hit their potential, the Raptors need as much shooting as they can get, which is why they drafted Grady Dick, which is why they're rejecting 4 picks for OG Anunoby. I mean, he's a great defender. That's probably more of the reason. But the three-point shooting is a huge part of that, which is why Scotty Barnes is being, asked to improve his three-point shot, to spread the floor, to make it bigger so it's not compressed. Because Pascal is not a great three-point shooter. And you can't have so many non-shooters on the court at the same time. You got to be able to complement Pascal and Scotty's games with outside shooters. And Gary's going to be important. Maybe him not starting rubbed him the wrong way. I'm not sure if that's true.
Okay,
it could be. Everyone has egos, so you never know.
So keep him, yay or nay? We're running out of time here.
Yay.
Yay? Okay. One more prediction. Just one more last thing. Just give me a number, okay? Wins at the end of the regular season.
Oh, I've already done this before. 44 and 38. That's so I.
Okay.
Wait, no, wait. 44 and 38 makes sense. Yeah, my math was running well. Yeah, so that's what I had. I think they'll squeeze in to the top six, or they'll be on the
Dude,
outside
we're
looking in the play.
brown. Math should be instilled in
No,
us.
no, I didn't take grade 12 math for a reason, and I avoided that. I was more of an English major and communications, whatever.
Yeah, the motherland. For us, but okay, Jazz, we got to get out of here right now, man. Before we get out of here, is there anywhere you want to let the people know to find you? Because I'm not going to mention the publication that you are a part of with the organization, but is there anywhere they can get hold of you?
Yeah, no, honestly, it's fine. If like so I'm actually a content editor for the Toronto Star. That's fine. But in terms of just like getting a hold of me, you can reach out to Jay Graywall at Tor. I almost gave my email address for work. Jay Graywall at Jay Graywall 15 on Twitter is where you can find me. I'm not really on IG or any of that other stuff. So I'm a basketball obsessed freak. So that's what you're finding.
All right, thank you. Thank you for joining me. There will be more conversations whenever you're free. Ladies and gentlemen, he said he's busy. He's at the Toronto Star. He took the time out for me and for you guys out there. Okay. So, and I'm looking at the time and he's got to get to work right now. So, on behalf of my boss. Yeah, I know, right? You guys can find us Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you, ladies, you can find me at King Hussein. Believe me, this ring is just to wear for fun. I'm out there. But make sure you guys subscribe. That sweater is still up for grabs. Okay, you guys just keep clicking subscribe, click comment, like, let me know who you are. I will respond to you. And on behalf of myself and my man Arturas out there all the way in Lithuania, and Jazz and the To The Point family, and if you are watching, I do consider you the part of To The Point family. So good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good night, and